Shy, introvert, social anxiety, socially awkward, anything in between, whatever you consider yourself right now, this video is going to be your saving grace because I'm going to give you some insights today in this video that's specifically going to help you with this. And regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, meaning you're okay with it, you don't want to change it, or you're sick of it entirely and you want to 100% be a different person, or anything in between, this video is going to be for you. I'm somebody who, by outside opinions and by my own kind of process, considered myself before to be a little bit more closed off as an individual, and now I have all the social skills, the life of the party, social butterfly, all those types of things. So I've kind of flipped that switch in myself. I've decoded it in a way, and I want to give it to you to help you, right? And this is going to be kind of a deep dive into that in regards to the process. So this is where we need to start, right? All of us at the core have our identity, values, and beliefs. At the very core is your identity. And for whatever reason, growing up, right, whether it was fed to you, told to you, you were molded that way, all of us have shaped our identity up until today. Now, if you've never explored this subject behind or besides, and on top of maybe just watching a video, and maybe you've read about it once or twice, but you haven't really explored it and done any of the real work in regards to the reshaping or changing of your identity, then everything that you've done up until now has composed and created that identity. So right now, you associate at the identity level at your core, I'm shy, I'm not good, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, everything that trickles up to the surface, your values, your beliefs, your thoughts, ideas, and actions, right, all will correspond with that identity. Meaning if I hold in my identity, whether this exists or not, this is how powerful it is because it's our subconscious mind. If I hold in my identity that I'm an introvert or I have social anxiety or whatever it is, again, going all the way back up to the surface, that's going to manifest. It's going to happen. It's going to occur that way. I'm going to process the world, filter it through that identity, and then it's going to spit out that response emotionally, mechanically, right? And that's how life is going to be. So the first component to this thing, the first piece of this puzzle, there's two, right? One is to identify, understand, and know that you can fundamentally change your identity as a human being. Now this one's tough because a lot of people will listen and say, well, duh. No, a lot of people think they can't change. I'm this way because of my race, my culture, my religion, blah, 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 right? Where I grew up. We think that those things just are. Now again, whether you believe what I'm saying right now or not, for the sake of this exercise, you have to believe and accept 100% that your identity is malleable, that you can change it. What's up, buddy? Right? So number one is this, we need to become aware of it. Hey, this is the identity. This is where it's at. Everything manifests from that. But the second part that's just as important, that's tied into it, is belief. You need to believe that you can change. Do you believe that you can change? If you do, leave a comment. Because whether this is an experiment for you, whether this is an actual type of education where you're going to accept fully what I say and apply it, you need to believe that you can change your identity. If you don't, nothing else ever will help you, and you will be trapped in the way that you are now, and you will never change. Why? You don't believe that you can. Because even if you have an awareness, but you believe that things are just the way they are and you can't change them, you cannot change ever. This is tough. I battled with this tremendously, y'all. I get it. I can relate, but it's the truth. So we have the identification of the identity being the core, and everything, again, all the way up to the surface stems from that. Second piece, we have to believe that we can change. Now, here's what's next. The next portion is for you to start identifying some of these things, reactions, way of being, things that you do, things that you say, how you act, and start paying very close attention to them and becoming aware. How do you respond? What does a typical day look like? Do you talk to people? Do you not talk to people? Do you light up? Do you close off? Do you get nervous when you spark conversations? I'm talking to the smallest little details, because we have to first bring awareness to these things. Once we bring some awareness to this thing, now we can start to say, okay, this is the current situation. Now, the ideal version in the future that's broken free of this particular identity and the traits associated with it. What do they do? How do they move? How do they walk? How do they talk? How do they respond to this situation compared to me, right? Now we have the current circumstances and how you are. And on the other side, we now take note of what we want the future to look like. You see, now we have a beginning point and we have what we've designated as our end point. Beginning point, end point. Now we need to do the work in between to change. Now, obviously, this is where more education, personal training and coaching and all that comes in, but let's say you just want to try to tackle this on your own. Fair enough, because that's how I started. You now have to hyper obsess about this. So let me give you a simple example to illustrate this. Let's say right now, I don't like the fact that when I go out and talk to people, I have these thoughts in my mind of how they're going to react and I hesitate. So what I need to start doing is set a small goal and start pushing it and making it bigger as time goes on. I'm going to say, you know what? While I run my errands today, because you can turn it like a dial, the difficulty. While I'm running my errands today, I'm going to chat up one of the workers because I know, hey, if I'm going to go out and socialize, if I talk to a greeter at Walmart or an employee at a store, they're not going to be rude to me typically, and it's going to be a little easier to socialize with them. So I'm going to open up a conversation, maybe say hi, go back and forth 1 or 2 times, and just get myself in the habit of initiating conversations and getting over that fear of potential situations or whatever comes up, right? Then we can start progressively making it more difficult and becoming more advanced. Having more conversations, approaching people on the street, right? So again, this gradually increases in difficulty. And you're always coming back and assessing how you're doing, what you did well, what could be improved, and you're constantly on this journey, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. This is systematically how we start going in, zeroing in on these specific things, and starting to work on it. Now, is it that simple? Yes. However, this is very time intensive, and let me warn you, it's extremely intense. You will go through emotional roller coasters. You'll feel like not doing it. Why? We are creatures of habit and we're stubborn. You're not going to want to change. It's easy for your mind to contain you when you stay the same. It doesn't have to deal with stressors in the environment or anything else. It wants to keep you the way that you are. That way it works less. That's how primitive our DNA is in our mind. It doesn't want to work hard if it doesn't have to, right? That's how interesting this thing is. So even if we trap ourselves in a non-ideal identity and state, because we've created that, your mind, your body, your DNA will fight to keep that. That's how crazy this is, right? It doesn't make any sense. But this is how we become our own worst enemies. Okay? So I gave you some simple stuff that you can do, right? A lot of awareness, a lot of attention to detail, and a lot of specific things that you can do. In the example that I gave you, right? We would gradually up the difficulties, talk to strangers, do this, do that. Another reason I advise many of you to get into sales, because if you work in direct sales, you're going to have to do this. You're going to be forced to do it, where if left to your own devices, maybe you won't do it because you won't muster up the courage. Now, how do we facilitate this process? Get help. This is why a community is super important. This is why having a friend or an accountability partner is important. Having somebody going along the journey with you is amazing because it facilitates the hard times. It gives you a shoulder to cry on. You have some support. You have some people going through this with you. You don't feel alone. And it provides a lot of emotional support and spiritual support that I think a lot of people are lacking nowadays. And that's why they feel alone, right? So typically when you join a community or a coaching program, that's the type of stuff that you'll automatically get access to. But if that's something that you don't want to do now, or you refuse to do it, or you're not interested in that, well, you're going to have to find somebody. I used to find people on the internet back in the day through Facebook and Instagram. I don't know how effective that is still with all the bots that are out there, but I'll tell you this, just finding people randomly is difficult, because finding people who are serious about this type of stuff to actually create change is very, very rare. But this is a common question that I get, and I wanted to make a quick YouTube video to address it, because even if you are okay and you accept introvertedness and all that, ideally as a society, if everybody was introvert, nothing would get done, people wouldn't get together, right? And the reason I bring this up is, if 100 people come in contact with me, most of them tell me they're okay with the introvertedness, but ideally they would like to change it. I've met very few people who want to keep it the same and are happy with that. That's very few, right? So take this information, do something with it, apply it, let me know. I have a ton of stuff for you guys in the description to help you out in regards to free resources, get on my email list and all that stuff. Sound off in the comment section and connect with each other. But that's it for this one, guys. I wanted to keep this one short and sweet. I may expand on this topic more in the future on specific parts of it, but for now, that's it. All right, we'll see you. Peace.